Okay, welcome everybody to the July 29, 2026 council meeting for the Township of Muskoka Lakes. This is the second meeting in the month of July. And we have a fair amount on the agenda, so I'm going to jump right into it. I will call the meeting to order at 9 o'clock. And I can verbally confirm, I can actually confirm that we have quorum. All are present in the room. The only councillor missing is Councillor Burry, who is absent from today's proceedings. I can also confirm that the CAO, the clerk, and other members of the senior management team are present. And I would point out that CAO Pink has joined us. He's the bottom box on the screen there. Welcome, David. I'm going to start also with the Land Acknowledgement Statement. We want to acknowledge that we are on lands traditionally occupied by Indigenous peoples. Indigenous peoples have cared for this territory for the benefit of future generations, and their stewardship throughout the ages is recognized. Thank you. Again, normal notice we give. Today's meeting is being live streamed and recorded on the Township of Muskoka Lakes website and its YouTube channel. And by participating in the open public meeting today, you are consenting to your image, your voice, and your comments being recorded and posted online. We did seek input on this agenda at our normal place, which is a email box at tmlpubliccomment@muskokalakes.ca, and we received none on this agenda. There is a supplementary agenda. It was issued, I believe, yesterday or 2 days ago, and simply added the following to the original agenda. First of all, it noted that the meeting starts at 9 a.m. Number two, Bylaw 2026-087 and OPA By-law 2026-088, OPA 64 and ZBA 22/23, 2666940 Ontario Inc., and 2665556 Ontario Inc., Resort Village of Manette, 1048 and 1112 Judhaven Road, 4-14-058. The bylaw was added. So we'll get to that in the bylaw segment. The third addition is item 9BA, the bylaw 2026-089, being a bylaw to establish and appoint a Muskoka Compliance Audit Committee. That was replaced. And that brings me to the point where I ask if anybody on council has, based on what they see on the agenda, has any pecuniary interest they wish to disclose at this time. All right, thank you for that. Seeing none, we'll show let the record show there were none. But if you find yourself in a point of conflict of interest or other pecuniary issue during the proceedings of this meeting, please identify the issue, and we will deal with it accordingly. And I think there's last two issues. The motions that we will be reading were pre-populated with random movers and seconders, and this is done just to expedite the meeting. And I'm going to ask all voting that the members shall physically raise their hand until I have confirmed the vote. And if the vote is unclear, a verbal vote shall be recorded by the clerk. And in that particular case, it will not be considered a recorded vote. Okay, so we'll move on to the agenda for today's meeting. We are moving to number 4, invited presentations. I don't believe there were any. Oh, I don't see any. Delegations. I don't believe that there were any requests to delegate. Public comment. I don't think, have we got any? No, nobody registered to do that either. All right, then we'll move to some of the more administrative stuff. The consent agenda. First of all, approving a consent agenda, which is a resolution reading as follows. Moved by Councillor Nishikawa, seconded by Councillor Kent. Be it resolved that the mayor and the council adopt and enact the following minutes and recommendations contained in the July 15, 2026 consent agenda, and direct staff to proceed with all necessary administrative actions. Number 1, July 15, 2026 General and Finance Committee minutes and action items 1 through 10. Number 2, July 15, 2026 council minutes. Number 3, July 16, 2026 Planning Committee minutes and action items 1 through 11. And finally, July 17, 2026, Special Planning Committee minutes and action items 1 through 9. Does anybody have any questions or any comments? Councillor Nishikawa.
Sorry, I am having a little bit of a challenge to find if I have a pecuniary interest on something we had voted last meeting. And so I am going to not.
You're going to recuse from the consent agenda?
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else with a comment or question? I'm not seeing any, then I will call the vote. All in favor? That carries. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Next up, we're going to call on Andrew Whitfield, who is the CEO and Chief Librarian for the Muskoka Lakes Public Library, to give us an update on library activities. Welcome.
Thank you. It's really great to see such a big turnout for the library update.
Good call.
Anyway, thanks everyone for coming out. Good morning, Mayor and members of Council. I'll try and keep this brief as I know there is a lot on the docket today, and I don't want to hold things up. I was speaking to the Muskoka Ratepayers Association AGM a couple of weeks ago, and a few councillors in the room mentioned they thought all of Council would like to hear all that is going on at the library. So that's what brings me here this morning. I'm sure when many of you hear library, you still naturally think of books, and books remain at the heart of what we do. But today's library is also a community center, a learning space, and a lending library for far more than books. From Ontario parks and local museum passes, to items like a cricket machine and sewing machines, binoculars and hiking poles, Yodo players and Yodo cards, and so much more, we truly offer something for everyone. It's also one of the few, if only, spaces in the township where anyone can walk through our door year-round, spend time, ask for help, and take part in something without being expected to buy anything. While certainly quieter than the summer months, the library is still a hub of activity and engagement in the winter. The days are short, the roads aren't always easy, and for a lot of residents, the library becomes one of the few warm, welcoming spaces to spend an afternoon or evening. From January through March, we had over 4,000 people walk through our branch doors. We delivered 128 programs and welcomed more than 800 program participants across both branches. From story times, senior programs, tech help, author talks, and cozy afternoon crafts, we did it all. Our circulation numbers held up just as well. Nearly 6,800, approximately a third of which were digital checkouts. Items were checked out across both branches in those 3 months alone. And we've kept that momentum going through the summer. Through June, we've signed up 123 new card members since the beginning of the year. June was also one of our busier months, both in terms of foot traffic through the door and circulation since I've been here. And July is shaping up to be the same, if not more so. So far in July and throughout the summer, we continue to offer programs for all ages. We've been running our weekly nature club, story time, STEAM, and Something Learned programming to great attendance. We've installed story trails across 3 township parks, hosted a visit from the Canadian Raptor Conservancy in Bala, had a needle felting workshop, and hosted the Mind Aid Mobile Youth Hub out front of the Port Carling branch. And that's probably only 2/3 of what we've done in July. Our summer reading challenges have kicked off at both branches, and last year we had over 100 kids read over 1,000 books. And our Art on a Shelf and Mini Masters art exhibits have just opened in Port Carling, so come take a look. We're also hoping to beat that number of kids that both registered and number of books read last year. And we're on pace. Anyway, sorry. Looking ahead, August is a big one. We're celebrating 25 years in our Port Carling home, the Norma and Miller Alloway Muskoka Lakes Library, and 139 years of library service across what is now known as Muskoka Lakes altogether. We have a week of special programming running August 17th to 22nd, culminating in a family fun day on August 22nd at the Port Carling branch. So mark your calendars and head to our website for more info on all that is happening. Another quick reminder, I'd be remiss to not mention the Friends of the Library silent auction. The 15th annual is underway and ends on August 6th. We have over 120 items that have been donated from local businesses and residents, which is a real testament to how much this community believes in its library. Every item and dollar donated goes to the Friends, which in turn supports libraries' programs, services, and spaces. It's truly neighbors supporting neighbors. And speaking of services and spaces, this is the final update before I wrap up. Our service and space review is underway, and for many of you, this may be the first real update you've had since it was approved at budget time. In plain terms, we're taking a close look at how well our services and our 2 physical spaces in Port Carling and Bala are meeting our community's needs today and where they'll need to head as Muskoka Lakes continues to grow. Consultants have been working through background research, existing plans, and growth forecasts since May, and in June we launched a public survey that stays open through Labor Day. Available online at our website, so please take a moment, all of you, to fill it out, and everyone here, please fill it out, and pass it along to your constituents as well. Over the coming weeks, our consultants will be reaching out directly to members of council, along with some members of the township senior leadership team, for them to share their thoughts directly. Everything that comes out of this feeds into their final report this fall, which will then go to the board and then come to council for just further updates and more info. So stay tuned. Last thing, and it ties back to what brought me here today, at the Ratepayers AGM a couple of weeks ago, a gentleman, not a councillor, though not the 2 are mutually exclusive, came up to chat. He told me that he and his wife had recently moved to the area, and he admitted, and I admit this sounds like a cliche political speech or like anecdote, but this really happened. He came up to me and said he and his wife just moved to the area, and he was begrudgingly talked into getting the library card. And while he was there, he had his arm twisted further by our staff to sign up for our newsletter. And then he told me that he never really supported public libraries. He said he just didn't really see the point, he didn't use them. But since he'd signed up for our newsletter and the card, he got our monthly newsletter, and every month he just sort of saw all that the library is doing. And he now is, he said, a true supporter of the library. He comes in, he looks forward to the monthly newsletter. So he's changed his mind, seeing everything we offer every month to residents. So I'd encourage all of you and anyone in the audience and anyone tuning in, because I think we've got a big audience for today, to both sign up for 3 things. Visit a Muskoka Lakes Public Library branch, if you haven't already, make it part of your routine. Sign up for a Muskoka Lakes Public Library card, if you haven't already. Or at the very least, sign up for the Muskoka Lakes Public Library newsletter. You can then hear about everything we've got going on, and it'll be probably a little better laid out than I'm just rambling on about now. Anyway, you could go to muskokalakespubliclibrary.ca to sign up for that, speak to staff, stop by. We'd be happy to sign you up. So with that, that's our really quick summary on all that's going on, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good presentation. You put yourself on thin ice there with that gentleman councillor.
I said they're not mutually exclusive.
You redeemed yourself at the end. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Hi, Councillor Zavitz.
Not a question, a comment.
Sure.
Thank you. For you, to Andrew. Listen, you used the word encouraging in your pitch this morning, non-political pitch. I'm very encouraged by your presence, the interface we've had over the days, weeks, months. I think you're doing a great job. I think you're really bringing the library, to the people, and I'm certainly very appreciative of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Mazan.
Thank you, and through you, and I'd echo those comments as well. Thank you very much for coming today and for all the amazing work that you and your group and your team do at the library. That was a wonderful kind of summary of it all. Very specifically, just because there seems to be an audience.
Yeah.
On the 22nd, you mentioned a family fun day. Can you let me know the time of that and what to be expected on that day, or is that something?
Yeah, sure. So there will be from 10 to 3, basically our operating hours. There'll be face painting. We have some big rig trucks set up. We have many local groups coming out to set up tents. We have a magician, I believe, and well, you put me on the spot, I should know it all, but a lot of family activities sort of stagger throughout the day. We'll have button making, t-shirt making, a lot of just hands-on activity. So yeah, please, everyone's welcome. And it's a celebration. That would be probably the day where we might, if anything, have a smaller ceremony speech, just commemorating the library, but we don't have anything sort of formal planned for any big plaque unveiling or anything at this moment. And sorry, one thing just to step on, I would be remiss without mentioning just the staff at Muskoka Lakes Public Library. They are the truly the backbone of what makes it work. The amount of effort they put in, especially during these summer months, is something that has to be seen to be believed. I think when you're dealing with people coming in for printing help and asking questions on how to fax something and asking for a book recommendation, when you have 2 staff members, you're pulled in literally 20 different directions at one time. So the staff here deserve huge kudos and thanks from everyone.
Perfect. Thank you very much. When we first moved up here permanently, which was, I guess, 11 years ago, it didn't take me long to realize that the building next door is mislabeled, I think, as the community center. The library is really the community center. And I remember passing that on to Kathy Duck and now to you as well, just doing a terrific job of staying current and relevant and necessary and frankly important to the people who live in the entire township. So thank you for that.
Thank you. And one more thing we launched, we're trying to pilot a home delivery service for residents because we know we only have 2 sort of Muskoka Lakes Public Library branches, and Muskoka Lakes is a large township with transportation challenges. So to remove one of those barriers, we've tried to pilot a home delivery typically throughout the winter months. We're going to try it again throughout these winter months, so I'd encourage anyone to sign up and ask me for more info on that as we try and figure out a way to pilot that. But we want to get services to people. Right now, we've also extended our service in Bala. We're open 4 days in the summer, and we were open 3 days throughout the year for the first time until 5 p.m. on Monday. We partnered with WATA to offer some after-school programming throughout June, and we hope to continue to do that in September. So we're trying to become more of a presence in the spaces we have a presence, as well as make our I've said this before, you probably will get tired of me hearing it, make it known to everyone in the township that we can't be everything to everyone, but we want to be one thing to everyone. So if you use our online services, DVDs, come to a program, whatever, come use us, we're here. Or if you can't come to us, we'll try and find a way to get to you. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're done with questions, right? No more? Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you very much.
All right, next thing is a verbal update. There's no resolution, and Director Beth Serreras, you are delivering it. Is that correct? Welcome.
Yes, I'd be happy to do so. Through you, thank you for the opportunity to provide a further update. At our last council meeting, there was a resolution put on the floor that was sent off to the province, encouraging Elections Ontario to take a look at the electors list and or the voters list to make sure that it was comprehensive and full. At that time, I had reported that we were approximately, our numbers were down approximately 30% from the previous 3 elections. And I was awaiting further update. Had been working with Elections Ontario. I can say they have been working diligently through weekends, through evenings, really trying to get all the information that they can get from all the sources that they have. And I'd also like to do a little bit of a shout out to our community partners, a lot of the lake associations who've gotten a lot of the information out, like the library, all the partners that we have, as well as our residents. Every day we were seeing the numbers go up, and when we were seeing those numbers go up, that was people registering to vote. So it was really encouraging to see that we have a really engaged community who cared about it and were actively trying to get on the voters list. I'm happy to report that since 2 weeks ago, our non-resident elector count has increased 47%. So we are sitting closer to about 15,500 electors as opposed to where we were at about 12. So we definitely got a lot more people added on through the information that Elections Ontario received from their different partners. We could see a little bit more of an increase between now and mid-August when we get the final, not the finalists, we get the preliminary list from Elections Ontario, and then as staff will be working internally to do what we can with the information. What you'll see online is the portal to register and check to see that you're on the voters list. It will go dormant for probably a period of about a week while we do some work. And then you'll see it switch over. So it will look a little bit different, but that's because it'll kind of move over into our another partner that we have in municipal voter view, and then it will be us who will be managing the list from that point forward. So people will still have the opportunity to register to vote to make sure that they're on the voters list, but that will then be coming through us rather than through Elections Ontario. So that will begin near the end of August, and then we're going to do another big push communication wise and making sure that people are able to check that they're on the voters list and get themselves added if they're not, and they're eligible. And we'll go from there. But I am encouraged by the numbers. I know it's not sitting at where we were at in the previous elections. I will say that the data, each election we had a lot of work to do when we were with NPAC to go through the list and cleanse the list. And we did anticipate that there'd be some hiccups moving with a new organization being Elections Ontario, but I do think it's encouraging that it's gone up. So I hope that's some good news for everybody, and that everyone will continue to encourage electors to check that they're on the voters list and register to vote.
Thank you, Councillor Zavis and Councillor Kent.
Thank you, and through you to Crystal. I wonder, again, I think I asked this question last month, but what's the universe? What is our potential voting universe? If you say we went from 12 to 15, very promising, 15,000. What is that number? What are we striving for? Is it 38,000 or is it 17,400? Do we have that information? I'd like to know where we stand.
Thank you, through you. I'll be honest, it's a difficult question to answer because I don't really have a set number. So we can look at what our population is here, but not everybody who owns property here is eligible to vote. So if they're not a Canadian citizen, if their property is owned in a corporation, they're not eligible to vote. So it is a difficult question to answer. I would say I'm encouraged by where we're at, and everyone has the opportunity to register to vote. So if somebody is eligible to vote, they can speak with us. We will get them on the list. They can vote. So I'm feeling much more confident moving forward. It does mean that there's a little bit more work on our end to just make sure that everybody has that information. We do have some planned extra communication in that regard, and you'll see that come out late summer, early fall. But I don't have a set number, but I feel much more encouraged, and I know that Elections Ontario have been very diligent in the people who are on the list. I think some of the concerns in the past have been that there were duplicate or potentially electors who, I don't want to say maybe shouldn't have been able to vote, but were able to get onto the list and they did own a corporation or something like that. So I feel confident in the in the change and happy in the increase in percentage, and we'll continue to get the word out there, but I don't have a number for you.
Just before you go back to your follow-up, I just want to make one comment. The problem is, I think, that the universe of voters in this township is not really knowable, because the only people who take part in the census are permanent residents. So you don't know how many are residing and how many are eligible in other dwellings around the township. And there's also these sort of opt-in provisions. If a kid rents a room from his parents in a house or cottage, they may be caught on a census, but they may or may not be eligible to vote depending on the arrangement they have to lease the space. So it's unfortunately not knowable, and really the benchmark is a huge drop from last 4 years ago. 30% drop from 4 years ago was the number I think you put out.
Thank you.
Is that what you had to follow up?
Yeah, thank you, through you to Crystal again. So let's just forget about hypothetical, just sitting with where we are, where we know the 2018 election, the 2022 election, we know how many people voted, right? How would you compare the 15,000 to that number? And because I think that's relevant in that, we have sat around this table talking about the declining interest in our elections. And, so I'm interested in that number. How many people voted in 18? How many people voted in 22? And how does that compare to the 15,000? Thank you.
Director Bensareris, yours.
Thank you, through you. Again, I'm going to say it's a difficult to answer. I think our voter turnout, and I'm pulling them off the top of my head, but we were sitting around 30%. But that's a hard to compare of 17,000 we had 30%. Now that we're sitting around 15.5, it could go up to 16, and we're still at 30%. It's really hard to kind of compare those numbers. What I do want to say again, though, is anybody who is eligible to vote is able to register and get on the list and vote. So that's what I encourage everyone to keep sharing that message. I encourage all councillors, all candidates, everybody to make sure that they're getting that word out. That's what we're going to continue to do. But that's one thing that we just want to make sure. Just because if somebody goes on to check that they're on the list and they may not be there, does not mean that they cannot vote. They are eligible to vote. So it's kind of hard to say. Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Kent.
Thank you. Let me just make sure I understand one thing. We were at 12 2 weeks ago, 12,000. We're up to 15.5 today, which is a big increase. Am I right on that? My question was, I think similar to his question, what was that 15.5 at the last election? Was it 17, 18, 19? I just wonder how much we're still off of last election's numbers. That's my first question, and then one other little one.
Director Becerras.
Thank you. So at the last election, our total, so this is for the total population, so resident and non-resident, we're sitting just over 17,000. And right now we're sitting at about 15.5.
Oh, so the 15.5 is comparable to the 17?
Yes.
Okay, I thought that was just the non-resident electors.
No.
Okay, so
total.
we're still 22,000 people, 2,000 voters off, but we've made a lot of progress. It's not like 50% off. We're making progress. I was comforted. I just went online and I mean, I don't know if you can give us any insight on who they dropped off. What was the mistake? I went on and checked. I'm all happy. I'm an Islander and I had unusual specs. I thought I wasn't going to be there and I was there. I was surprised. Any idea who the people are that they knocked off and what the glitch was? Just because that gives us an idea of who we need to contact.
I have one. It's not just seasonal residents that got knocked off the list. I've run into a half a dozen, like frankly, lifetime residents year round, and they're not on the list for some reason. So it's everybody needs to check. So, Director Becerras, yes.
Yes, through you to just to reiterate what the mayor has said, percentage-wise, the amount that we've dropped from resident electors and the amount that we've dropped from non-resident electors is comparable, actually about the same. So it isn't all just seasonal or non-resident electors, it's both. And as for the rationale behind it, there's a variety of things. So whether it's just we're still, our Elections Ontario still hasn't been able to match the person to the property within the information that they've received. The other thing is they're receiving information from a dozen different organizations where MPAC was working kind of within their own information. So while that's great that they're getting all this information, the problem within it lies that they may have information that is contradictory within it. So that does attribute to it as well. So everybody, it's not just non-resident electors. Everybody needs to make sure that they're checking that they're on the list. But it is.
15.
I will note that I anticipated when we moved to Elections Ontario that our numbers would drop just because of the diligency that they had in being able to be on the list. So I was expecting a drop anyways. So I think we're sitting in a better spot now.
Thank you.
Councillor Roberts.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to Crystal. Sorry, Sarah's best. Have high confidence in our staff. They've demonstrated that they can rise to the occasion, and I'm sure that they'll do everything they can do to make sure that voters list is up to date as possible at the final moment. I'm just suggesting that perhaps, if I'm a voter and I'm going to vote and I can't vote, that the first number I'm going to call is the township. Could we possibly change the greeting in and around the election to say if you're voting for, if you're calling for a vote related matter, please press 1 or something, or 0. So that way they don't have to go through everything else. They can just, I'm panicking, I need a quick path to someone who can help me. Thank you.
Director Becerras.
Thank you for that. Already in the plan. So thank you. There's certainly within the Municipal Elections Act, a lot of responsibility placed on the clerk, and I don't take that lightly. And we are looking at every possible way to make sure that getting on the list and voting for the elector is as seamless and easy as possible. So that is the goal.
Thank you. Anybody else? No? All right. Well, thank you very much for the update. Keep at it. Thank you. All right, moving on to items 8C, report of the manager of Parks, Recreation and Facilities, Hannah Park Playground. Mr. Moore, don't look back.
Thank you, Your Worship, and good morning, Council. So today we obviously have an update report on our Hannah Park Playground design. Staff have taken the opportunity to put today's report into a presentation format because when we're dealing with fun things like playgrounds, it's always better to see pictures. So as we know, in the 2026 capital budget, funds were included for the replacement of the Hannah Park Playground. As part of our asset management plan, this asset has reached the end of its useful life, which is typically around 20 years. It's sitting at about 25 years. The project itself has actually been deferred for multiple capital budgets as staff work to complete the Parks and Rec Master Plan and the Hannah Park Development Plans last summer. So as we go through on that, it's definitely, nobody wanted to have to get to this point with the playground. It's certainly special, and we'll certainly and walk through kind of the background information and everything with the presentation today. So Liz, if you could flip to the next page or next slide. So the Hannah Park Playground, everyone's familiar with the playground. It was built about 25 years ago in the early 2000s, and it was a community-led project. So the community came together, fundraised all the funds for it, and were the ones to build it, put it together, everything. So it certainly holds a special place in the hearts of the community, myself included. I came to this playground as a child. I've brought my kids to this playground, and it's spectacular. It holds a really special place. So when we were moving forward with this project, we certainly wanted to try to preserve some of that character, that natural feel, making a safe and accessible space that meets today's standards, and try to honor that community-led legacy. Okay, next slide, Liz. Okay, so why now? So obviously, I touched a little bit on our asset management plan. As we know, with all amenities across the township, docks, etc., they all have an end of useful life date. With playgrounds, particularly wooden ones, that is around the 20-year mark. Wooden is often suggested 15 to 20 years. As such, it's sitting currently at about 25 years. Over the past 10 years, we've certainly done repairs to it to help prolong that life. But as we know, it's seen better days. We're starting to see a lot of internal rot, entrapment areas, and just the solid, just the structure itself being solid and meeting today's safety standards. Next slide, Liz. So why don't we just repair the current structure? Probably the number one question we've received. And we've gone through all the different options and alternatives that we can, done all that background and due diligence work. Simply put, we can't repair the current structure because it doesn't meet today's safety codes and Canadian regulation for playgrounds. So even if we were to repair it, it still wouldn't pass an inspection, and that liability would be on us. Additionally, as we've spoken with playground companies, they don't feel there's a stopping point to the playground. If you were to begin those repairs, you take off one board, have to take off the next, and it would just be a compounding, never-ending process. they also wouldn't step in to take the liability of a structure that was completed by somebody else. Next slide, Liz. Okay, so the next biggest question, why don't we just rebuild it like for like then? And the simple answer is here again, there is opportunities to build custom playgrounds. I would say it's not as common anymore as it was back in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. And that's simply just due to cost. And especially since COVID, we've seen the rise in playgrounds skyrocket. We saw that firsthand with Jaspen Park, Windermere Playground. The costs have gone up tremendously. So if we were to do a custom playground such as this, there would have to be changes to it regardless. And that's to meet those safety requirements, those specifications. So it would never be like for like. And the additional point there is just the cost to do it. As you can see in some of the options presented today, you're looking at those types of costs just in supply of materials alone. On top of that, you're looking at another 50 to 60% increase on all the items you don't really see visible to getting a playground: the shipping, the labor, the landscaping, the wood fiber, ground base for it, engineering, architects, production, etc. It would also be about a 2-year process, start to finish. We have talked with Earthscape. Earthscape is who we have awarded the project to, one of the last remaining companies that do wood playgrounds. And they do custom playgrounds as well. But as they had mentioned, the most recent comparable that they have, a playground they did in Seattle, Washington, came in at about 1.5 million. They also stress the play value in these structures, and the play value that they've provided through a few of the options we see here today meet or exceed, if we get to the later options, of the play value that we see within here. So for best kind of bang for your buck, Earthscape suggests, you could do a custom, but you're still not going to see that same play value that you could get out of some of the templates that they have prepared. Next slide, Liz. So what we've done and what's got us to this point so far. So it started with the Hannah Park development plans. Well, I actually started with the Parks and Rec Master Plan, which has led to the development plans of some of our marquee parks as the amenities in them, not Hannah Park alone, but Jaspen Park, the sports park. All those amenities are coming up on that 20-25 year range. So we need to start to plan for the long term. With that, we conducted community engagement last year about Hannah Park, came up with a development plan. We went through that process with council, approved those plans in the fall. Overall, not a lot of change to Hannah Park. People love the park the way it is now and would like to see it just, refurbished and fixed up and brought to new life. Some of the new items that we saw within those plans, and they're not really new, but some additional parking for boating, etc. We did actually have a dock there at one point for boating. We lost during the flood. So bringing back amenities such as that. Through that process, we engaged with the community, talked about the playground through that process. Obviously a desire and a love for the playground down there. And the number one thing we heard about it was the wood product. People loved the wood. They loved the uniqueness of it, that it can't be found everywhere, and it just ties in naturally to Muskoka. And that was a real selling feature for them and something they wanted us to maintain moving forward. So through that, we went through our normal RFP process after the passing of the budget. Through that process, we provide a scope of work and receive proposals from playground companies. Through this process, we took it one step further. Staff made sure that these companies came up, met on site, and saw this playground firsthand because of how special it is. Through that process, we identified items such as the linkage play through it, the wood, etc. And as I mentioned earlier, that RFP process was awarded to Earthscape, who recently completed our Windermere playground as well, another wood playground. Yeah, I think that about covers that up. Liz, if we want to move to the next slide. So the proposed playground design that was within the budget that we had in the capital plan. We see a natural wood structure, lots of climbing, balancing, and imaginative play. And we also looked at how we could retain some of that community-led legacy, right? We see the names on the picket fence, very important. We'd like to retain that, retain those names. We have some other ideas as well that we can incorporate within the park that I think would be pretty special. So those were some of the areas we wanted to focus on. Next, Liz. As for the playground, the proposed design itself, these images, it's really always hard to do it justice. They are quick design mock-ups. They don't include all the natural landscaping, etc., that we can bring to life with a redevelopment of the park. For those that were able to join our Windermere Playground grand opening, you can really see how we tie in the natural elements of the area, the granite rock, etc., to really bring that Muskoka feel. As for the playground itself, the main feature is what Earthscape calls a log tangle, and that's meant to be their version of a linkaged playground. So as we're maybe familiar with the current Castle Playground, the special feature in it is how it's all linked and connected together. Really cool for kids to play games on, etc. So that is kind of the new updated version of that. The nice amenities with it is it's got nice sight lines, ability to see through the playground compared to what's there now, where sometimes it can be challenging that way. So that's where Earthscape kind of tends to make some of those tweaks in playgrounds nowadays. Liz, if you want to flip through some of these. So just again, some of the highlights that we tried to replicate, obviously swings. We've got the sand digging area down there currently we'd look to replicate. The main linkage structure, the log tangle. It's got the bridges, it's got the climbing ropes, different amenities in it. Perfect, Liz, thank you. As we move into kind of the Totland area, those familiar, we have the Totland down there now. These are kind of geared towards more the ages of 18 months to 5 years old, an area for them to play. For those familiar with the park down there, there's a nice sign currently welcoming to Totland. We could certainly work to incorporate those signs into something here as well. But just the different versions of play, some sensory ground items, and just some better visuals for people to understand some of these products. So with our playground, like Jaspin, like Windermere, we go out with the proposed design to get community feedback. Hannah Park, we got the best survey response yet. 100+ surveys, and a lot of great stories within those surveys too. To read through them, it certainly replicates a lot of my childhood as well too, visiting this park, playing there as a kid. I'd say there's 3 main takeaways that we heard through those surveys. Obviously a large group that is, disappointed to lose what the community built down there. The legacy of that castle themed playground is it is hard, and nobody wants that, but it has come that time. So as I mentioned earlier in the report, we kind of identify why that repair option isn't viable. The next part that we heard was a big group of just a lot of underwhelming with the proposed design within our budget. A lot of people thinking it's a bit of a downgrade to what's there now, wanting more. And there are some good suggestions in there. A few people, even going as far as looking on Earthscape's website. You can view everything they have there. They've got all their products online. People went as far as suggesting some. It was really cool. And then we obviously had a smaller group that again provided some good constructive feedback. Ability for more swings. Currently the swings down there can get very busy. So those are items that we can currently take and tweak. Really today, what we're going to be deciding on is the budget. and it's the budget that is going to move us forward. And from there, staff can make those small tweaks based on the feedback we heard. We consistently hear about shade, et cetera, that way. So staff can work to address those. Next slide, Liz. Okay, so based on the feedback, staff, we wanted to look at some additional options for consideration. So what we've done is we've worked with Earthscape on a few different levels or tiers we can move up. As we move into option 2, we're sitting at around the $400,000 mark. For those not familiar, our current budget is around the $260,000 mark. So that was what we were working with going into it. As we get into option 2, you see a little bit larger of a play structure. We see an expanded log tangle platform. For those familiar with the Windermere Playground, this structure is about 4 times the size of it. So what we put in Windermere, this is about 4 times the size of it. Here we see an upgraded junior tower. So that tower itself is an upgraded feature for kind of that tot area. And we've also worked, we heard a lot about the linkage of the current playground, a way to link everything together so you can get from the junior tower across the logs to the main structure. That junior tower itself has lots of different amenities within it, including a rock climbing wall. It's got imaginary play with a chalkboard, different access points, hammock to crawl across. We also heard about the monkey bars down at the current playground, and the original design not including that. So we've added in some of those monkey bar traverse rings, they call them now, features that people can climb across, and as well the log tangle itself having those bridges, those ropes, etc. to connect on. But some of these images, they help do it a little bit more justice. When you just see that, it's very hard to see all the different amenities that come on these structures. And what Earthscape's, their passion and what they call it is that unprescribed play. So what they've highlighted through all their designs and all their playgrounds is the ability for the children to decide how they want to play on the structure. Whereas what they've described with the current structure is it's very laid out. The kids follow a certain dedicated path to the slide, to the bridge, etc. Where these types of playgrounds allow the children the opportunity to determine how they're going to get from A to B, whether it's climbing on the net rope, walking across a large rope or a log, etc. And you can start to see some of that through some of these images. Of course, through the wood products, they want to tie in the feature of similar to a kid going and playing in the forest. It's bringing back that natural piece element, similar to just grabbing sticks in the forest and making a fort. They want that same sense of imagination with children in the playgrounds. So Liz, as we move forward. Okay, so as we move forward, we get to option 3. And I think this is where we really start to see that wow. Because a big part of the current playground structure is the castle towers. It's the peaks that you see. It's when you drive into the parking lot and you can see it from there, and it leaves an impact with you. Even though some of those towers, etc., have zero play value to the park itself, but it does add to the experience. So in option 3, we start to see that wow, and that comes in the form of what they call a timber tower. So these timber tower features are magnificent. They have many amenities attached to them. As you flip through this, Liz, thank you. It's a three-story tower that allows kids multiple different ways to climb up the tower, multiple different ways of egress, large slides, smaller slides. It's got the fireman pole that we see currently down at Hannah Park. So again, wooden bridge, net bridges, banister rails, etc. So opportunity for option 3 as well. This starts to come in around that $550,000 range. Once again, that's everything. That's playground, that's installation, that's ground cover, landscaping, etc. When we talk about these numbers, we're talking about all in. Okay, Liz, as we move along, you see some of those features. So the biggest thing is obviously we have a budget right now that we've included in the capital budget. And if we want to proceed with some of these additional options, we need to consider ways to fund them. What staff have undertaken is grants. There's currently 2 grants available that we have applied to. One with the province through the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund and one through the feds through FedNor. In both of those, we're on to phase 2 of the application. So it's moving good. Unfortunately, we won't know the result of them until the fall. So it does impact the timeline associated with our project. In both instances, if we are successful with the funding, we can get reimbursed for funds that we've already spent on the project, backdated to April. So that's certainly an opportunity. Within those grant applications, we have incorporated some additional items that were identified in the Hannah Park development plans when we talk about the boat ramp and pier, the pavilion shelter by the beach, and the boat docking as well. So those would be included and tied into those as well. So we've been in discussions with both of those groups about kind of the 3 partners coming together and really having a rebirth to Hannah Park and the economic impact that can have on Port Carling. Of course, we can look at community fundraising. There's also phased construction. Playgrounds that you see here, Earthscape, we've designed them in a way that we can add amenities as we want. So there's no limit on these playgrounds. We can start to add to them should we get additional funds at a certain time. That is the nice thing with Hannah Park, is it is very big, lots of space there to utilize. And of course, we have our current capital budget. So there are the opportunities to defer some current capital projects that staff have highlighted. In particular, we have the diesel recapture units at the Port Carling Fire Hall and some wharf concrete repairs. Both these projects are slated for later this fall. So if we were to defer them, we could look to rebudget those funds in the 2027 budget and complete them in the late winter, early spring. So those are options there. As we've highlighted in the staff report, a potential consideration if council would like to entertain option 2 is perhaps the diesel recapture units. From there, if we're successful with grants, etc., we could always phase in additional aspects to the playground as we go or find out. Alternatively, if we wish to go option 3, there's the opportunity to defer the wharf concrete repairs and do everything now in the recommended timeline. As highlighted in the staff report, our most recent playground inspection has recommended replacement. So we are on a timeline where we can't really prolong it too much more. And if it's a situation where we are deferring installation, it might come to a point where we would have to close the playground until such time as installation can occur. But currently our timeline is for this fall, and we can still meet those timelines now and look for additions in the spring if needed in a phased opportunity. Of course, if we went with option 3, as I mentioned before, with the grant funding, if we're successful, those funds can always just be recouped from what the township spent. Next slide. So next steps. So 3 options today, and certainly available to help with any more questions. We can approve the proposed design within the project budget that was capitalized. We could move into one of options 2 or 3 with some additional funding, or option 3 if council would like to entertain a different approach, we could go that way. Highly not recommended, I think, by staff, just with that timeline factor and the current condition it's in. Next slide, Liz. Okay. I think the next slide, yeah, the last slide anyway. So I think that wraps up kind of a summary of all the background information, where we've come from, where we are today, what's before us. As I mentioned earlier, I think today, and like I had discussed with Earthscape, today is really about defining the project budget. If we want a little bit more, we have ways to do it, and we need that direction from council, and we can proceed with those. I know coming to this playground as a child myself, bringing my kids here, it is very special. And I don't want to lose that at all. And we will certainly work to incorporate that in a redesigned or an updated playground. I also want us to kind of take the opportunity to really look at this as an opportunity for something new that's going to impact children's memories for the next 25 years. And I think there's some options out here presented today that can do that. And I think it could be a really special time to bring something new and have those same memories for a different generation moving forward. So with that, Chair, I'm available for any questions.
Thank you very much. Well done. I have one quick question, and that was just to clarify. The proposed new structures, do they have a similar shelf life of 20 or 25 years?
That's correct.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you. All right, Councillor Roberts, Councillor Kent, Councillor Zavitz.
Thank you, Chair, and through you, we are in question period. So I was trying to recall last evening how we ever established $260,000 for this playground, given the spectacular playground that we currently have in Hannah Park, that we could ever replace it for $260,000. Could you remind me how we arrived at the $260,000?
Mr. Moore.
Yes, through you, Chair. So the original playground was built for $130,000. And when we put in the inflation factors, it came to around that $260,000 mark. As we know with playgrounds going through Jaspen Park, going through Windermere, it's really hard to put a budget together for a playground without the design in place. So the budget for them almost acts as a little bit of a placeholder with an understanding that there's likely going to be changes. And we did see that with Jaspen Park, where we had some additional funds added to that project as well, and same with Windermere as well too. So you almost kind of set that base, see what you can get with it, and then from there determine if you want to add to it.
Thank you. Councillor Kent and then Councillor Zavitz.
Thank you. I am also a long-term user of that park, meaning I've got 27-year-old kids.
Yeah.
We lived on Muskoka at the time, and I love it. I guess my question is, it's a bigger budget, even at the 260, okay, which
Yes.
I don't think is anywhere near enough, than any other park we've done recently. Have we done any traffic counts? Because my gut would tell me that we get way more traffic through that park than we do through some of the other parks, but that may be just a bias. And I was wondering if we've done anything to figure out, is this a park that is actually used a lot more? I know there's a lot of community support, but used a lot more than some of the other ones.
It's through you,
Have
Chair.
Mr. Moore.
Yeah, through you, Chair. So it's a great question. We don't have exact numbers. We haven't done an exact traffic count, but I think there's definitely that understanding that this is that destination park for Muskoka Lakes. Not only does it have the playground, but it has many other amenities: the volleyball courts, the basketball, the walking track, the beach, the boat launch. So I would say this is definitely our marquee destination park for the township. It's situated right in the middle of the township, from all avenues, Windermere, etc. Not only that, but because of all the amenities that it includes, there's people that travel to this park from afar just because of that. So I'd say I'd have no concern saying this is definitely our most popular. Yes.
I just have one quick follow-up. I just
Sure, go
say,
ahead.
I have a very specific recommendation when we get to the comment period. And I think there's some good ideas that have been tabled.
Thank you.
Zavitz, yeah.
Thank you, and through you to Corey. So Corey, I have instead of asking you one question at a time, if you don't mind, also rapid fire 3 or 4, and then
Okay.
you can, because I know you're so immersed in this whole project. I guess a couple things I would have. Coming from Ward A, I'm wondering, you know, are we acknowledging it, what you just did, that Port Carling, the Hannah Park, as the epicenter of TML by upping the budget to more than 2 times what we've spent on previous newly built parks, that being Jasmine Park and of course Windermere. We have Torrance Sunset Park, you know, next year on the plan. And I guess that's a question. So just a thought on that, because that's sort of new to me. I mean, I get it's a bigger park. And so if that means that's a designation, then maybe us around the table need to understand that. A second question would be boat parking. I do have a concern about, I mean, that is a crazy place on a Saturday, right? I've been going around as people go in their boats to Port Carling and ingress, egress. So, you know, I do have a concern about us establishing a new dock there for boat parking. I just can't even imagine what that looks like. So if there are some river studies on that, that'd be great. And I guess the other thing that I would have is, you know, we continually talk, every year we seem to do a park. If we had ever established a parks partner, like, you know, we go out, we go for an RFP, we get different companies come in, and there is no synergy to our parks. Maybe that's part of the beauty of a park, is that it's unique, it's different. If you want this, go to Windermere. If you want that, go to Jasmine Park. So that's a question I would have, just in terms of, do other municipalities look at that and say, hey, you know, we have a partner in the parks? I think that might be worthwhile. And the other thing I wonder about is if we've had the problems we've had at Hannah Park with the water, and we, you know, clearly it's under an advisory right now and has been for a short while, and there's repeatedly that's occurred in the summer months, of course. What about consideration of a water play structure, some sort of a splash pad or something to bring the water to the people that can't take advantage? If you go there now, there's people in the water, which, you know, isn't the best look. So I wonder if you've considered that. Thank you.
Mr. Moore?
Okay, through you, Chair, thank you for the questions. In terms of Hannah Park kind of being that epicenter park of the Muskoka Lakes, I would say yes. And I think we established that through the Parks and Trails Standards Manual. As we know, there was recommendations within the Parks and Rec Master Plan for items such as considering a splash pad, etc. And within that master plan, it provided the recommendations on the amount of those amenities you should have based on your geographic, your population, etc. As we went through the Parks and Trails Standards Manual and the development of the Hannah Park development plans, that was the area that landed for some of those amenities that we would only see in one place in the township. And the reason being, obviously the amenities already associated with it, but also the location as well, being in the center of the township. So to your point about the splash pad or consideration for a splash pad, the development plans did include that. If we were to consider that type of feature, that would be the park where we would look to put that. In saying that, we haven't considered that yet. As we discussed when we approved those plans, the next step would be identifying all those new items within the capital budget process. And we just haven't quite got there yet. That would be this upcoming budget. We'd start to see those items. Additionally, we know we have a lot of infrastructure already across the township to fix up, repair, replace. So I think it's one of those opportunities that when we see a desire maybe from the community for new, that's the opportunity. We maybe look for those partnerships, etc. Similar to Windermere, where there wasn't a playground there. The Parks and Trails Standards Manual identified a gap in that 141 corridor area. The community came forward and led the fundraising charge to make that playground happen. So I think we'd look to those types of opportunities for those newer type amenities. Right now, we would just be focusing on the amenities we already have in place there and bringing those up to today's standards. In terms of the boat parking, I think through the consultation we did last summer, that was probably between keeping a wood playground structure, boat parking was the next thing on that list. So we'd work with the dock companies, and when we talk about boat parking, Similar to what was there before, nothing spectacularly large, but the opportunity to at least have a couple spaces available. So we wouldn't envision anything that would provide a safety concern, anything that way. So we'll certainly do our due diligence in that respect. In terms of the synergy between parks themselves, I think our Parks and Trails Standards Manual, it does a good job of outlining, based on the size of the park and the size of the playground, the different play value that we should expect within them. In terms of the theme, I think it is unique, and I think each area in each park is a little bit different. And what we put in Sunset Park versus Hannah Park may be a bit different based on the history of the area, etc. So I think each one's a little bit unique that way. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Roberts.
Thank you, Chair, for allowing me a second question. For the 2027 budget, another thing to consider, because it's not in this playground, is accessibility. Play value items. So just consider that for the 2027 budget and come back with thoughts on that. Thank you.
Yeah. I will say through you, Chair, so the current playgrounds and the one you see before you today, it does meet all the accessibility standards. So a large part of that is the ground cover itself. And as we know, we've been converting to the engineered wood fiber as our ground cover because those meet current accessibility standards instead of sand, etc., where you see some other places. Additionally, and that's the component I talked about in some of those images. When you see them at a glance, the high level layout of the playground, it's really hard to see all those smaller amenities attached to those structures. And there's a lot of ground level play sensory items, etc., that help meet some of those accessibility standards. That junior tower in particular includes an accessibility component to it as well. So
You got a question. Last one wasn't a question, so we'll see if you have one in you. Go ahead.
Yes. Well, Mr. Brewer, you brought up another question.
Okay.
I'm thinking accessibility. That's
Yes.
great what you mentioned, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking about children with physical needs, impairment needs that we should look forward to.
Yeah.
And does this park have that?
Yeah, and sorry, through you, Chair, to expand on that junior tower, for instance, it includes those transfer station areas where that transfer can occur, and then they can still access some of the amenities on the structure, such as the slide, etc. So, yes, and same with there's the swings, etc. You can incorporate the proper seats and everything that way. So.
Thank you, and through you, and just want to start. That was a fantastic presentation. Really walked us through all of it, the thinking and the rationale. A couple of quick questions. You've introduced this concept called play value. Do you have any sense as to, like, is there a metric around that? Like, can you define play value of current versus the different recommended options, and just maybe expand a little bit on what that means?
Yeah. Play value is often referenced in the playgrounds themselves, and really what that relates to is the number of components within the playground. So there isn't so say like an actual value, a percentage maybe that you could tie to play value as you step up. What it is you start to see the number of amenities with the different structures, the number of slides, climbing features, the number of access points, the number of egress points, etc. So as we work through those different options, you can see that as we get into option 2 with the junior tower, the play features start to climb. So you start to see the rock climbing wall features on the side of the building, the chalkboard. You start to see multiple egress and access points. As you move into the larger timber towers, that's when you start to see a lot more post and rope. You see multiple slides. You see multiple ways to climb up the tower through bridges, fire pole to escape. So you start to see it in the number of amenities within the playground itself.
Thank you.
Follow up to that?
Thank you. A second question, actually. So the decision today is around the actual playground structure. If we looked at it as a Hannah Park campus or site plan.
Mhm.
Is this also an opportunity? I know we've talked about the dock, but there's other parts to that park. It truly is that iconic park, and we want to do this right.
Mhm.
Things like the culture and the heritage that you touched upon in there. Is this the time that you're thinking about that, or is that like a next year project?
It's a really good question, but I think our plan is to do it, incorporate it now. And some of those pieces might be kind of the finishing touches that we incorporate later in the spring, but I think there's a real opportunity within this playground design to bring kind of that Muskoka feel to it. And again, that's where I reference this, you know, this is an opportunity for something new. And what we saw in Windermere was, you know, a real liking to how we incorporated the natural landscape, the rocks, Muskoka chairs, how we can tie in kind of the history of the playground that was done before, as well as the history of Port Carling. I think there's an opportunity here through the features of the playground for us to work on how we can incorporate those, so that not only is there an understanding of kind of what was here before just in Hannah Park, but the township as a whole and the history of Port Carling with you know, the boats, etc. That way, I think we can start to incorporate, you know, whether it be through, you know, information pedestals or etc. I think there's tremendous opportunity that way. Yes.
Thank you for that. I'm actually going to read the resolution so that we can open it up and questions and comments. Before I read it, I'm going to point out that it calls for the approval of the original proposed project at 261. It has the flexibility to bump it up with a blank in it so we can actually make a change. We may have to come back and amend this, but I'd rather just get it on the table, get everybody started on a discussion, and then we can figure out how to amend this to accommodate what we're going to go to. So it's moved by Councillor McIntyre, seconded by Councillor Bosenworth. Whereas the 2026 capital budget included funds in the amount of $261,300 for the replacement of the Hannah Park Playground. And whereas the Hannah Park Playground has reached the end of its useful life. And whereas staff have delegated authority to award capital projects, should they be within the budgeted amount, and whereas staff have awarded the project to Earthscape Play Inc., and whereas staff have conducted a community survey regarding the proposed playground design, and whereas council may wish to revise the budgeted playground design based on the community feedback received, now therefore be it resolved that council directs staff to proceed with option blank as outlined in staff report OPS-2026-022, and that staff be delegated the authority to make minor modifications to the playground design, provided the changes remain within the approved budget, project budget, and do not materially alter the overall design intent. So, Councillor Nishikawa.
Thank you. Don't know where to start, except that I was part of the crew, had my own crew, building our own little, you were designated a crew and everything else. It was a fantastic, fantastic time. Along with many other parks that we've built in this municipality, which I have been fortunate to be part of. I will say I'm a little bit, I understand people's concerns about the sticks in the pictures. Like it just looked like that. It didn't have the substance that the other park had. But I think it could be very, very exciting. I guess my concern is about the funding. And in the past, we have voices in the back that I'm not focusing. I'm hearing other people and I'm not focusing on.
Oh, sorry. Could we keep the conversation down and off actually in the back, please?
So my concern is, you know, this park was funded earlier, and I will say that it was tremendous, as well as our sports park, as well as every park, quite frankly. I do wonder about the type of financing that was brought up in the, like I understand there's grants available, and certainly I've seen where Huntsville's been successful, so hopefully we can go after our MP for that. but I didn't understand where we were gonna pull some other dollars from. And it actually concerned me because aren't those two important projects, or why were they ever in the budget in the first place? And how can we just shift around that large amount of money? And could I have a follow-up, please?
You can. Mr. Moore, do you want to talk about the other two capital projects that were proposed to be delayed, deferred?
Yes, through you, Chair. So they are still important and they are still required. Our thought behind the concrete wharf repairs was our plan was to do them later in the fall after the season is completed. Given the timeline of the Hannah Park project, there could be the opportunity to proceed with the Hannah Park project first and just push the wharf repairs back a few months and complete them in the late winter, early spring with a new refreshed budget. As for the diesel exhaust retractors from the fire station, the plan would be we'd still like to proceed with those as well too. Again, it's just one of those projects that we haven't started yet. So it's almost on the table for that reason. That again, we could incorporate in the 2027 budget, do early in the winter because it's indoors. We can do that project whenever we award it. The other aspect to that project in particular was we're currently going through the fire station design process. And through that process, we're certainly going to gain a better understanding of what we intend to see in each of our fire halls. And it may be an opportunity to revisit some of those amenities we see within them. So that was the thought process behind the two projects that we have an opportunity to defer. Of course, if we are successful with the grant funding, those funds would come back and we'd be right around the exact project budget amount if we're successful. So that's the ultimate goal. I think it really comes down a question: do we want to fund a little bit now and then wait for the grant to hopefully do a phase 2, or do we want to fund it now and then if we're successful with the grant, we just recoup those funds?
Thank you. Councillor Nishikawa, follow-up?
Thank you. Through you to, I guess our treasurer. Where I'm concerned is because our fire master plan came up with, and we've seen this, I'm going to just say over a number of years, I've seen this where we were supposed to do something and we didn't do it. And it just kept coming back as we should have done it. And then there's an emergency and what I don't want, and in fact, I'm still very, very concerned about the upcoming budget because I'm just going to, the numbers won't be exact, but it looked like there was going to be another 10% increase. And we've already had, well, this was proposed, right? Over the next number of years, correct me if I'm wrong, over the next number of years for us to be up to date with all of our plans and all of those other things, because we've already had 3 years of large increases. And so that's where I don't get the whole thing. And then I also think about why choosing from those two elements, whereas cash in lieu of parking, wasn't that supposed to be about parkland and that sort of thing? So I'd rather hear from the treasurer, please. Thank you.
Mr. Treasurer, Mr. Donaldson, Director Donaldson.
Thank you, Your Worship. So is there a specific question you're looking at?
Oh, well, you, first of all, did you not present to us some months ago that we would require this increase in our budget for how many years just to pay for what we're doing now?
Through Your Worship, that's correct. So in April, I presented to committee, General Finance Committee, that we would be looking at, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 8% per annum for the next 10 years to try to keep up with our current asset management plan.
So then the other question in there, a bunch of them I know, but was if in fact the park, we have taken in a lot of money for people lacking parking right now. And so I thought that that's what we're, in the past, I was aware that that's where we drew from that fund, not from another department, I would say.
So through Your Worship, so we have a parkland fund that on consents, cash is paid in lieu of parkland for development. And that is the fund we typically draw from for park activities for those types of things.
I'm sorry, why are we not going there?
So through your worship, that fund is available, but it is currently under a lot of pressure as well because there is a huge amount of work in the Parks and Recs master plan over the next number of years. And with the changes in the official plan, consents are probably and severances are likely to decrease. So we're going to see less money coming into the Parkland Reserve over the next few years as well. So we've got two conflicting pressures, one with increased expenditure on park development and park redevelopment and trails and so on, and less funds coming in through fewer severances being approved.
Councillor Zavitz, I think, had his hand up first, and then, did he have, was it you, Alan? All right, Councillor Edwards, you went.
Sorry if I maybe missed something, I had to leave for a second. I'd like to see the whole thing go through the 500,000 at some point, but on the other hand, I would not take the diesel exhaust reclaim away. That's a safety issue. And I would leave that in for sure. I'd leave the concrete repairs in because on Friday I was in Windermere and a bus tour come in and they were getting on the Peerless and someone fell and close to dislocated their shoulder. They had to bring an ambulance in to check them out before they got on the boat. Luckily, they were able to go with it. But, and that repairs like that should be kept up. I'd like to know how much the grant we've actually applied for, the grants. Would you know more fully?
Yes, through you, I think, so through the grant, if we were to work with the partners, our contribution would be 50% and them each coming in at 25%. I think we've estimated the total project request of 800,000. And that includes the boat ramp, the pier, the playground. So our share would be the 400,000.
Okay, thank you. I wonder if we could get the community like they did in Windermere to raise some of the funding for to go. And another question was the large tower that was there. If we went with that, what would that be? Just the tower itself at this point?
Just the tower?
Yeah.
So you can get really into the weeds and the details of these designs and options. I'll try to keep it as high level as possible, but within option 2, there would be the ability to do the tower there versus all the other amenities, but you're basically just getting the tower. It's quite substantial. Yeah.
Like,
the cost of it.
Okay, sorry. But we're
and
done.
that, well, like, just the ballpark on that, like say, like other that you must.
Councillor Edwards, we don't know.
Okay.
Couple 100,000.
Because
Yeah,
I
a couple
would like
hundred
to
grand.
see that go forward rather than some of the small stuff. And then take the existing playground out of there that everyone loves, get a couple of years out of it, and then start putting the smaller stuff as we take it down.
Councillor Zavitz, Councillor Kent.
Thank you, through you to Corey. So Corey, sticking to the budgeted amount, which seems to be getting a little bit of favor here. I'm wondering how feasible, if you will, Appendix 1 is sticking to our budget for now, approving that, and then perhaps considering something else different and more, if you will, at budget time 2027, when there's going to be different people here, one would imagine. My question to you then would be, how feasible is option 1? What I mean by that is if everybody loves this tower, maybe, in January, they decide to add 100 grand to or 200, whatever. So can you speak to that? Is there a feasibility piece to that?
Mr. Moore?
Yes, they're all feasible and they've all been designed that way. The hard part is with option 1, some of the upgraded amenities you see in option 2 then wouldn't become available. So the thought behind option 3 was it would include everything in option 2, which we saw the upgrade to the monkey bars, the junior tower, etc. that way. So option 2 definitely aligns better for a phased approach. The challenge is if we're going to do the phased approach, the The timeline for the grant works because we would find out before the installation occurs. But once we do start to install some of these pieces, we're not moving them afterwards.
Right.
So you kind of got to know if you're moving forward with a phase 2, you know, when you start the installation process. I would say option 2 aligns better for that phased approach because it allows that dedicated area for the timber tower. Can option 1 include it? Yes, it can. Yeah, it still can be if that's a desire.
Councillor Kent.
Thank you. It's great information. If I were to cut through it, I would recommend that we take the $130,000 from the fire project, leave the wharf money in the budget. It's very important for next year or whenever it gets done. So we go to option 2, which is the 408. We're a little 15 short or whatever on that.
Yep.
And then we ask the community, we continue to pursue the grants. And then we ask the community to go out and try to raise money to add the tower, which I think is a major improvement, but we don't have the resources today. And we'll see how we do on that. And that's an easy add-on down the road. So I would do a phased approach, option 2 today, the change in the budget from 130 over and or delay in that item. And then put a request in to have the community get involved, which they've successfully done in Windermere and in some of these other parks. I think it's a reasonable request and it's a way to get everybody vested in the future tower that they're going to be building with some of that money. So that would be my recommendation to council.
Is that a motion you wish to make and get a
I'd like to
second?
make that motion, but.
All right. I'm going to interject one thought first, or a question first. Have we ever talked to the community about working towards some additional fundraising?
Through you, Chair, we haven't reached out to the community with that proposal or option. I think staff's thought on that was, you know, the community's come forward once to build what's currently there. As part of those partnerships at that time, and it's no different than Windermere, I think part of that partnership and that understanding is that when that asset's complete, it's now ours. And with that is an asset management plan, a lifeline, and it's going to need a time to replace it. So there are those costs that have to come with that understanding. So staff's, you know, it's very difficult for staff to initiate that lead. If it's directed by council, sure, but if it's community led, that's, you know, that's an option as well too.
Can you just remind me, I forget the numbers, 25 years ago, the community rallied and was it 130?
130, yeah.
130. And is that cash or also labor and donations in kind?
No labor, no donations in kind, just
That was
material.
money.
Yeah.
And that came from the community.
Yep.
And that's 25 year ago dollars. So maybe
Correct.
double it for today. I know that's probably still light. The other thing that maybe we've learned is that that park is used by a lot more than just local people. We know people communicate a long way. We know a lot of them are cottagers who find it more kid-friendly perhaps than their own waterfront. I don't want to get into designing things by committee. It'll look like a camel. But I do think that your option number 4 makes sense. I think committing to it now makes sense. It's leadership. Cover your ears, Mr. Treasurer. But I also think if I add it up right, we're about $250,000 short. And perhaps with the assistance of the community or a rallying point for the community, and maybe we could sell sponsorships and call that tower like the Cleveland's House Tower. Just write that down. I have a very strong feeling that by the time anybody gets around here in the spring, they won't be doing any site work in the fall. It'll be in the spring.
Most of it would be in the fall.
So by the time they get around here, we'll have the funds locked down, ready to go. And because the real embarrassing part is if we don't do this now, next year that playground could be condemned and have to go away. The one that's there now, there's nothing to replace it.
Correct.
So I would rather see that happen if we can get comfortable with the source of funds. I'm going to take your recommendation. You didn't make it up. The notion of both the what was it, diesel fuel recapture?
It would just be the concrete repairs.
Okay.
We'd rebudget for them in 2027 and look to do that.
And still go, you know, broke for, not broke's the wrong word, go hell bent for the applications we've made for the funding from the government. And there may be other sources. And whatever gap is in there, creativity, we'll have to figure it out. And a combination of sponsorship from local businesses, individual residents who wish to make the legacy continue. I frankly would be much happier doing that than whatever else. Councillor Mazan.
Thank you. And so you pretty much took the words right out of my mouth. I've written down here, I think my preference is the what. And I think that's what Councillor Edwards picked up on too. He's like, ideally, I think the option 3, I think it was, not 4. Option 3 is what would be ideal here. So now it's a matter of how we get to that is what I think I'm hearing. So my preference is make a commitment, put a stake in the ground, no pun intended, and say that's the option we're going for, and then find, and I don't want to keep repeating, but the innovative way to fund it. It's really not that innovative, funding and or community fundraising, no different. If I could just have one, a secondary, it kind of goes back to my question earlier, just about the complete site plan. 2 quick things from a fundraising standpoint. Is this the opportunity to look at that in a more broad way as well with different partners in the community to add amenities after the actual physical structure as well?
Yes, absolutely. As we mentioned, some of the other items, the pavilion,
Right.
structure, et cetera, those are certainly opportunities. Even the landscaping of the current playground, that area, like there's certainly opportunities there locally that we could, explore.
Thank you. And actually, landscaping is my last very quick comment. I just don't want to lose the thread because one of the other common questions, I think Councillor Zavitz brought this up earlier about the water quality and the geese in particular. And I just want to put it on the record now. Could the landscapers, as we go through this site plan review, look at innovative ways to use natural landscaping to perhaps reduce the geese problem? It is a problem, and I don't know what the answer is, but I just think that this is the opportunity to do so. Thanks.
Mr. Moore, do you have an answer?
Yeah, through you, Chair, I would say absolutely. I think it's a fantastic idea. In the 2027 budget currently, kind of one of the last remaining refurbishments to the park is the beach area. So there's certainly, I think, that opportunity to explore some options for the geese. It's the challenge, yes.
Everybody who makes a donation gets a free goose. All right, who else has hands up? Councillor Bosenworth and then Councillor Roberts, because we've heard from both of you, and then Councillor Edwards.
Mr. Moore, if we go to the community and some of the community come back and want to offer either services or product in kind to add to the park, is that an opportunity? And, so for example, one of the quarry owners might come and say, I'd like to put a rock pile for them to climb in, People who supply or transport dirt, let's have a berm in here around the park. Is that something that I guess no matter which option we went for, let's just assume it's option number 3 at the moment, that takes a certain footprint. Is there enough space around to add other kinds of things that come to us in kind? We had something in kind at Windermere, which was a tremendous addition. Yeah, through you, Chair, absolutely. That's certainly an opportunity. And as you had mentioned, that happened in Windermere. And we see how that turned out with all the plants and the berm there and the logs and the granite, et cetera. So those are certainly opportunities for sure.
Thank you for that. Councillor Robertson and Councillor Edwards.
Thank you. First of all, a question of clarity, and second of all, I have a comment. You mentioned about the deferring of a couple of capital budgets, but correct me if I'm wrong. Did I not hear that there would not be any impact because we're going to start them late in the season and finish them in 2027 with 2027 dollars, and the only risk would be our financial pressures at that time?
Through you, Chair, yes, that's correct. And that was our thought process behind the Wharf Concrete Repair Project. Of course, we don't want to do that work in season. So our plan was to do it late this fall. We could look to rebudget it through the 2027 budget, do that work in late winter before the season starts up again. So that was our thinking behind the timing of that project. So correct, it would just become a financial decision through the 2027 budget.
Thank you. So just my comment, after reading the report yesterday, after late in the, or early evening, I went to Hannah Park and sat and watched children play for over an hour and a half. And I was trying to assess the value of that park currently. And I counted 35 play activities type of thing. And I noticed you talked about the play value and the imagination that could occur within the current structure. And I'm very supportive to do what we can to get option 3 in place. You used the word marquee. And I thought last night it's the township crown jewel of playgrounds, and we must do everything we can do to once again have it the marquee or the crown jewel for the township. So people, it's a destination for people to go. So I'm in support of whatever we can do in option 3. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councillor Edwards and then Councillor Mazan.
Yes. No matter what option we do, if we do the layout for option 3 and everything, that it could be added afterwards rather than doing something you say, oh, now we put that in and we can't do option 3 in the future. And again, I would remind everyone and that I would not take the diesel fume replacement in. That's safety. That's our staff, our firefighters. I would not take that out.
Thank you for that. Councillor Mazan, you have a motion you want to make?
Thank you. And I know the question was asked earlier too. I would like to put forward a motion to I think it's under direct staff to proceed with option number 3. I don't know if somebody.
I will second that. I will second that.
All right, we're going to just take literally stay in your place 1 minute. They're going to get the resolution right. I'll step away and let you talk. Okay. This isn't the one I'm reading.
You seen it? Susan, have you seen it?
We're just going to read it.
I'm just going to read it. You can listen to it.
Needs to be.
What's that?
Should be put on the table.
Yeah, we're going to put it on the table. You can get a chance to read it then, right here.
Did we just make sure that we agree?
Okay. Okay. Right, as is? You're good with it like this? Okay. Okay, I'm going to read I'm going to read a proposed amendment to the resolution that I already read, and it goes like this. Moved by Councillor Mazan, seconded by Councillor Bosenworth. Be it resolved that the resolution be amended to include the following after quote option 3 as outlined in staff report OPS-2026-022 close quote. And that projects 26087, 26089, and 26090 bracket wharf concrete repairs be deferred and reconsidered in a future capital budget should submitted grant applications or community funding not be successful. And that funds from project 26087, 26089, and 26090 in the amount of $300,000 be reallocated to project 26065 Hannah Park Playground Replacement. Anybody comment? Councillor Kent and then Councillor Edwards.
I guess I think that's too much money for us to be committing to today without a condition that I think the 130 gets you part of the way there. We get funding from the grant money, but I think that the community has to raise some money. I don't think we should have a conditionality. If you're gonna fund that, it has to be conditional upon the fundraising coming in from the community. They were there before, they were there for Windermere Park. It's more money than we have in the future. And I'm happy to do it. I think what I said is the last piece, which is an easy add-on, should be conditional upon the funding from the community. We can do stage 2, but stage 3 becomes an issue with, you're really pulling away from other critical projects that are in the budget. And I don't think we should be doing that. I think it's irresponsible. I think we should get everybody invested. And I would leave the phase 3 up to the $500 number as a conditional upon, with a deadline. You have to give us a deadline for when they'd have to have that money to be able to go forward. Conditional upon FedNor money and or community fundraising of a total of X or something. So that would be my recommendation.
Thank you. Anyone else with a comment? Councillor Edwards.
Yes. So if I read that, understand what you're saying is we're just taking the wharf repair only out. Okay.
Sorry, who answered that? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm going to ask Mr. Moore to clarify that.
Yes, through you, Chair, that's correct. It would just be the wharf. The other
Thank you.
project would continue.
Councillor Nishikawa.
Thank you. And I apologize because I'm not trying to redesign anything at all. I'm just thinking about the numbers, and it felt like it's not in a option. So if I was wanting to go with option 1, but in fact, I'm just talking about the dollar figure. So the 261,000, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but request that in fact, with the 261,000, build the bigger tower. Because in the option 1, it doesn't have the biggest tower, right? And so I don't want to put an option. I just want to approve a dollar figure of what we're going to commit to today, and then look for other additional fundraising opportunities where we can then add on to the park. It's that big tower that Alan had mentioned earlier that is the biggest expense. But yet, I would say the most attractive piece to the project. So it's not, for me, it's a dollar figure. It's not of what items I'm putting in with that dollar figure at this point. Anyhow, I'd like to see that changed a bit.
Yeah, Mr. Moore.
Through you, Chair. If we were at that dollar figure, the timber tower probably wouldn't be an option, or else it would just be that and that piece only. From there, if we were to add on, should we receive additional funding, etc., the one part that we have to think of when we're doing these phases is every time we assume those costs for shipping, for labor, etc., to come up here to do it. If we can do it in as least amount of phases as possible, it's going to save us the most amount in the long run.
Agreed. Councillor Zavitz.
Thank you. Through you to Corey. So Corey, were we to approve the 261, the budgeted amount,
Mhm.
and then at budget time in November, December, someone brings forward a motion to look at enhancing the park. I talked to you earlier about feasibility. Is that viable? What do you think as the main contractor here? Is that a viable solution?
It certainly is. I think what we heard from the feedback through the survey was people weren't well supporting option one. They were pretty underwhelmed by it, which is why I think we set the option two and the option three. So I think going with the base of option one, it would be challenging, even if we were to phase it, which we can do, but we heard pretty loudly that it wasn't very well supported.
Councillor Zavitz, yeah.
Thank you. And through you, supplemental, perhaps to my question. Phase one, right? And let's call it phase one, which is the budgeted amount. So taxpayers would love that. The people that are going to use it though, when budget time comes, one of us, someone, whoever gets elected, brings forward a motion that we enhance Hannah Park to the tune of options B or C. What does that do to you? What does that do to the project? Because you'd be getting it started, you'd be waiting for your granting, everything else is straight ahead, but we aren't eating the $550,000 elephant. That's my thought.
Through you, it's certainly an option. If we know that our plan is to do a phase two at some point, we can certainly configure it to allow that expansion. I think it becomes whether you want some of those basic kind of ground beginning items from option one or option two to expand upon.
Just let me follow up on that one, because my understanding is like building a house. If you decide halfway through you want to double the size, you missed your opportunity to build the proper foundation under it and pour concrete under it. I mean, these things don't just lie on the ground. They are anchored. They are anchored, and I assume kind of cross-anchored together. And so if you don't do the whole thing at once, I suppose anything's possible. If you don't do the whole thing at once, costs go right through the roof. You got to bring all the earth moving people back in, the engineers back in. To me, I'm hopefully we're going to avoid that kind of duplication and bet on the long run that we're going to find the funding through the community, through grants, and whatever else we have to do. Councillor Zavitz.
Thank you. And through you, I guess to your point, I mean, we're doubling a budget for a park, right? That's a consideration for the taxpayers. And so to my idea is that I don't know how we can look people in the eye and say, we originally set a budget of 261 at some point in time in this chamber a year ago, and now it's virtually double. I just can't I can't support it. I just can't understand why we would bring it forward.
And my only comment is I heard Mr. Moore say that we picked the 261 because we literally doubled the number from 25 years ago. So I thought that's what you said. Yeah.
With all respect, sir, that is not where the budget came from.
Okay, where'd it come from?
Well,
That's what I heard.
Staff. Budget came from staff.
Yeah.
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 Through you, Chair, yes, we went with the original budget and put in the inflationary factors into it, as well as, starting with Jaspin Park, what we saw there, et cetera.
Okay, so if we just basically doubled the number from 25 years ago, we were way light going in. But it was the budget, that's for sure. I don't know who was first, Councillor Mazan, Councillor Edwards, and then Councillor Kent.
Yeah, thank you. And through you, I'm just going to reiterate my comments that I think it's determining the what. I haven't heard that there's a resistance to option number 3 as a design. It seems pretty spectacular, seems appropriate. To Councillor Nishikawa's comments, it's really about the funding. I think the project, I just want to hear again from staff the clarity about the wharf. This is simply a deferral of the wharf capital budget to allow for this to happen. Can you just explain, will that defer forever? Improvements to the wharf, or how does that work?
Mr. Moore?
No, through you, you're correct. It's more of a timeline between the projects and a kind of a switch. So we would still complete the wharf repairs prior to the beginning of next season, which was what our goal would be.
Councillor Mazza, follow up?
Yeah, thank you. Just a quick supplement. And that's a fairly common practice. We've done that around this table. We rearrange projects on an ongoing basis, depending on new information, whatever the application is or whatever the report may be. So that's not at risk, I guess I would say.
Correct.
And just the last comment, that's almost a bit of a placeholder, how I've read that resolution, as we await information for the FedNor grants that staff have already put those applications in. So if those came in, that's the offset to this. In addition, I think the community has probably heard loud and clear, there is opportunity for community fundraising to make sure that we all participate, to make no different than what we saw in Windermere, to really make this place special. So staff has the capability to do both of those things as well. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Councillor Edwards, Councillor Kent, Councillor Bosenworth.
Yeah, so we had 261. We've just taken the 300,000, which makes it 561,000. Option 3 was 550. So we're well covered with this, and that's so I would support it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Kent.
I guess my concern is, I thought addressing your shipping issue, option 2 stuff was the stuff that was sort of basic. It had the monkey bars and a whole bunch of the things you showed us. And that all would be part of the basic structure. It's this tower. And my concern is you're giving it to the community rather than requiring it. By doing that, there's no incentive for them to go out and raise the $150,000 or 200,000. And I really would like to see that involved. It's a tangible piece, but based on the materials, it's a tangible piece that's very separable, big. It does make the project. The option 2 stuff is sort of part of the basics that we don't have the money for to get to the 408, I thought was the number. And then the excess above that was for this tower. And I think that's where, if we give it to the community and then we're taking the exposure that.
I think you underestimate the community.
Underestimate?
I do.
One other comment. I
Oh, yeah,
think
Mr. Moore.
the money.
Sorry, if I may, just to
Yeah.
help answer that clarity there, that would be kind of the envision if we were going to do phase, option 2 with the ability for option 3. To the mayor's point earlier, it would be cheaper to do it all now. If you're going to do it in phases, you're going to end up paying more for that phase 2, because you are going to have to re-dig up the whole playground. It is like a house. There's a foundation underground that needs to be installed, poured concrete, etc. We'd have to then re-landscape, redo the wood fiber, etc.
I was only suggesting that option 3 got delayed. Option 2 happened right up front. We approved 408.
Yeah, for option 3, we'd still have to do all of that additional work. So if we were to do the phases, option 3 would end up being more if you were to do it in phases.
I would just make the one point, Peter, Mayor Kelley, that the $300,000 we're taking from the future is real money that we don't have next year. So we are $300, $100,000, it's a deferral, but it's $300,000 that we don't have when we go to the budget next year.
Thank
So
you.
we'll have a bigger problem.
Councillor Edwards.
With building the option 3 now, you're going to get more donations for that. If you went out and said, oh, by the way, we have to fix the concrete, would you donate to fixing the concrete? And that.
Thank you.
For the
Good point.
playground, and you'll get the money. Thank you.
Good point. Okay, who had a question? Anyone else over here? Councillor Bosenworth.
No, just a comment. It's more just extending what Councillor Kent suggested. I'm also looking for a little clarification. I think the resolution said that we would defer the fuel retention and the concrete, and that adds up to no. Well, how do we get to option 4?
There's no option 4. I
Option
misspoke.
3 rather. The wharf concrete project is 300,000. And the fire station is 120,000. But
so
let me just ask for clarification. We need almost 300 to get from option 1 to option 3.
correct.
120 is not enough to get there.
Correct.
So where is the difference coming from?
So through you, Chair,
Are we going to risk that? Are we going to assume that we're getting that extra from the grant?
Through you, Chair, the wharf concrete repairs is 300,000. So we would defer that project, reallocate those funds to Hannah Park to make up the 300,000 deficit. The diesel retractors at the fire station would continue, and we'd still complete those this year.
All right. But, and if I just finalize the comments, we are committing to spending almost 300,000 more than is in our $190 million 10-year capital plan. We will have to get the money from somewhere, and I think we're going to take the risk that we will get it either from grants or a combination of grants and donations, and we will cover that difference, and we will be whole. So I think that's what we're looking at right now, and that's a good way to go.
Anybody else with anything new, question or comment? If you want to propose an amendment to the resolution and get a seconder.
Reflecting what Councillor Bosworth said, that with the anticipation that grants and community funding will offset some of the funds we've deferred from 2000.
It says in here, should submitted grant applications or community funding not be successful, so it's covered. Okay, on the amendment, right, the second one I read, I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Anyone opposed? That carries. Thank you. And the one I read first, we're just going to call the question on it. All in favor of it as amended? That carries as well. Thank you very much. Okay, I might suggest a quick break till 10 after. I got to get out of here. Okay, welcome back. I think we're all back. Okay, going to go through some zoning bylaws first. No problem. Thank you. 426-89. This is not the one I thought it was. Oh, I'm on the wrong page. Endicott and Singleton. This is the comprehensive zoning bylaw. Oh, yes. Okay. Okay, first one up is moved by Councillor Zabit, seconded by Councillor Roberts. Be it resolved that bylaw 2026-080 to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 2014-14 bracket Endicott and Singleton, roll number 4-23-085, be read a first and second time. Any questions? All in favor? That carries. Thank you. Next one is moved by Councillor Edwards, seconded by Councillor Nishikawa. Be it resolved that bylaw 2026-080 to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 2014-14 bracket Endicott and Singleton, roll number 4-23-085, be read a third time and finally passed. All in favor? That carries. Thank you. Next one is moved by Councillor Kent, seconded by Councillor McIntyre. Be it resolved that bylaw 2026-081 to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 2014-14 bracket Algonquin International Corporation, roll number 9-2-002-01, be read a first and second time. Any questions? All in favor? That carries. Thank you. Next one, moved by Councillor Bosenworth, seconded by Councillor Zabitz. Be it resolved that bylaw 2026-081 to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 2014-14 bracket Algonquin International Corporation, roll number 9-2-002-01, be read a third time and finally passed. All in favor? That carries. Thank you. Next one is moved by Councillor Roberts, seconded by Councillor Mazan. Be it resolved that bylaw 2026-082 to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 2014-14 bracket Aspen Wildlife Sanctuary, roll numbers 1-1-013 and 1-1-012 be read a first and second time. Any questions? You do have a question? Councillor Nishikawa.
Sorry, thank you. I just wanted to ask staff, or I think it'll be planning staff, but essentially about the added notes from our building official, if this is being taken into consideration.
Ms. Crowder, are you able to come forward and enlighten?
Hello.
I don't know if, did you hear the question?
Good morning. If the chief building official comments have been added, so bear with me. Okay. Through you, Chair. This is not my application, and I'm sort of stepping in here because we have some vacations, but we do have CAO Pink on the line and the chief building official himself. So I don't know exactly which comments we're referring to.
Oh, sorry, you want to answer that one? Go ahead.
I just wanted to add, essentially, there was some encroachment comments that were made and some others, and basically that these would be brought into consideration when the site plan was being developed.
Ms. Crowder.
Through you, Chair, we've got the CBO on the call here, so maybe I'll let him refer, but any encroachment or non-compliances that have been raised by staff would be addressed at site plan control. We wouldn't be in a position to approve a site plan if there were non-compliances shown that were not brought into compliance with the zoning bylaw.
CBO Snyder, what say you?
Thank you, and through you. The concerns regarding the encroachment over the apparent property line have been resolved by way of legal opinion and survey confirmation that these two parcels, forgive my terminology, at time of patent were not two separate parcels, but is one parcel and has always been one parcel. So that has satisfied my query and my concern regarding potential encroachment over a property line with regards to the shipping container structures requiring building permit and the potential for issuance of a building permit.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay, any other questions on this? I've read the resolution. I'll call the question. All in favor? That carries. Thank you. Next, moved by Councillor McIntyre, seconded by Councillor Bosenworth, be it resolved that bylaw 2026-082 to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 2014-14 bracket Aspen Wildlife Sanctuary, roll numbers 1-1-013 and 1-1-012 be read a third time and finally passed. All in favor? That carries. Okay, next one up, moved by Councillor Nishikawa, seconded by Councillor Edwards. Be it resolved that bylaw 2026-083 to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 2014-14 bracket Herman, Marshall, and Grant Stipsitz, roll numbers 4-2-021, 4-2-023, and 4-2-024 be read a first and second time. All in favor? That carries. Thank you. Next one is moved by Councillor Mazan, seconded by Councillor Kent. Be it resolved that bylaw 2026-083 to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 2014-14 bracket Herman, Marshall, and Grant Stipsitz, roll numbers 4-2-021, 4-2-023, 4-2-024 be read a third time and finally passed. All in favor? That carries. Thank you. All righty then. Next one up is. All right, moved by Councillor Zabit, seconded by Councillor Roberts. Be it resolved that bylaw 2026-085 and bylaw 2026-086 to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 2014-14 bracket Royal Canadian Legion bracket Bala, roll number 7-10-050 be read a first and second time. Any questions? All in favor? That carries. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Bosenworth, seconded by Councillor Nishikawa. Be it resolved that bylaw 2026-085 and bylaw 2026-086 to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 2014-14 bracket Royal Canadian Legion bracket Bala, roll number 7-10-050 be read a third time and finally passed. Councillor Edwards, you have a question?
Yes, we still have the holding on that until they resolve the parking, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else? Then I'll call it. All in favor? That carries. Thank you. All right, the next one up is Resort Village of Minette. Ms. Crowder, were you going to speak to this, please? How can you have a question? I haven't read it yet.
There was an OPA on the list here. There's an OPA 67. That wasn't, was the OPA included in the bylaw?
Sorry, you know what? We've already passed this. So.
No, I know, but we passed the bylaws. I don't think we passed the OPA. Is my point. The agenda has an OPA 67 on it.
Ms. Crowder's up. You want me to read this first? I'm on a, yeah, Manette. Moved by Councillor McIntyre, seconded by Councillor Zavitz, be it resolved that bylaw 2026-087 and OPA bylaw 2026-088 to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 2014-14, bracket 266940 Ontario Inc. and 2665556 Ontario Inc. Resort Village of Manette, roll number 4-14-058 be read a first and second time. You just have questions or?
No, through you, Chair, I do have an introduction and
Okay.
some items to speak to today.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. So thank you, Mayor Kelley and members of council. Good morning. As council will recall, official plan amendment OPA 64 and zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 2223 were heard this month at Planning Committee on July 17th. Since this time, a bylaw has been drafted to implement the recommendations put forth by Planning Committee. This bylaw can be found on the supplementary council agenda. This is a unique bylaw as it sets the standards for new zones such as Village Core, Resort Commercial 1 and 2, Residential 2, and Environmental Wetland. These zones align with the designations created through OPA 56. It is important to note that the general provisions of Comprehensive Zoning Bylaw 2014-14 will still apply. This bylaw implements the holding provisions as presented to Council through the previous staff report. Further, this bylaw implements the recommendations Planning Committee made, including to permit development within the floodplain, permit development within the required front yard setback, permit a reduced vegetative buffer, permit the creation of an open water and shallow marsh wetland feature not exceeding 3 meters in depth, and to amend the wording to require a 26-meter right-of-way along Judhaven Road. Following the committee meeting, staff have noted some items that were not directly circulated or analyzed that would be required to facilitate the proposal as shown in the drawings. Some of these items include, and Liz, if I could get you to share Schedule 3 to the bylaw, please. And if you don't mind just zooming in a bit. So the first item is to permit the proposed amphitheater to be located within the required front yard setback. This type of structure would be required to be located 66 feet from the high water mark, and the proposal seeks to permit a setback of 16.7 feet. So if you can zoom in quite a bit, and the amphitheater is located, it's circular and it's highlighted in yellow and it's located to the top of the screen here. The mouse is currently pointing to it. If everybody can see that okay, that's the structure we're talking about. So the bylaw is currently written to permit this structure in its extent and location. So there's no further action needed, but staff did feel it warranted to present this to you. And if council has any concerns with it, that would need to be raised through a minor amendment today. The second item, Liz, if you could share Schedule 4 to the bylaw. Okay, and if you could zoom in, we are looking at the items highlighted in blue. So the second item is to permit sport courts to be located within the required front yard setback as shown in the extent and location on this plan. Sport courts are required to be located 200 feet from the high water mark. The proposal seeks to permit them as close as 127 feet from the high water mark in the extent and location as shown on this screen. This schedule has been incorporated into the draft bylaw before you today. So if you approve as presented, that would be included. If council has any concerns with this, a minor amendment would need to be passed today to remove that permission. The third item, if you could please share Schedule 2A, is the extent of land to be zoned Village Core, which is slightly larger than originally depicted within the submissions and the staff report. The full extent of the proposed zoning can be seen as displayed on the screen. And in particular, if you don't mind zooming in a little bit, we are referring to the most northern part that is labeled as VC-H from C2-H. Originally, that was located within an R2 zone, so this is being expanded to be included within the village core zone. And staff don't have any concerns with that. And the last item, I shouldn't say the last, sorry, second last, is that the applicant has requested the permission be granted to permit patios to encroach within 2 meters or 6.6 feet into any required yard. So the setbacks as proposed to be approved, this permission would grant them to construct patios within 6.6 feet of any permitted yard. So these items have been included in the bylaw before council today. If council does not wish to permit these items, a minor amendment will need to be passed to remove them. And lastly, there is one more item that has been noted, which does require formal relief from council, which is the proposed driveways on site. So if you could please share Schedule 3 again. Thank you, Liz. So if you don't mind zooming in, there are a few driveways that are proposed within the 66-foot required setback from the high water mark. The proposed driveways would be as close as 2.3 feet from the high water mark. If council wishes to permit the locations and extent of the driveways as shown on the schedule displayed on the screen, a minor amendment will need to be passed today to do so. Staff have prepared this minor amendment in advance in case council wishes to do that, but to permit the driveways, so there's one that's shown on the very right-hand side of the drawing. It comes around the back of the wellness center area from Judhaven Road to the front of the property where the docks are. That driveway requires relief. And then there is also small parts of a driveway that are located to the south of the western inlet that encroach within the 66-foot required setback. So if council wishes to pass that minor amendment today, we would label this schedule to stipulate the exact extent and location of those driveways to be permitted within 66 feet of the high water mark. I have no further comments, but I'm happy to answer any questions from committee. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Are there any questions from committee? Councillor Nishikawa.
Sort of just quickly through you, and I'm not sure who can answer, but I just feel like there should be some leeway, some give on a construction site. I'm not sure how precise we're getting with some of these bylaws. I'm not.
Okay, no, I don't have a question, an answer. I don't know if that was a question, but it doesn't matter. You do.
Happy to speak to it.
Sure, thank you.
Through you, Chair, to Councillor Nishikawa. If there is concern about the exact extent and location, you can word the bylaw to say, for example, driveways shall be permitted in the general locations as shown. So that allows a little bit more wiggle room. We typically include in the extent and location shown to permit a sense of security, and if there was a perceived I don't know, I have a word in mind, but I don't want to use that word. If there,
I've been using it. You can go ahead. I've used it.
If there was a perceived abuse of a specific provision, the word general makes it very difficult for enforcement to occur. Not that we're expecting that to happen in this case, but that's generally why we use the words extent and location as shown. It makes it very specific what the expectations are, and that works not happen outside of that. But if council is concerned that it's too restrictive, we can amend to add words like generally.
Thank you. Councillor Edwards.
Maybe you could ask the agent if they were concerned about the way it's worded now.
Great. Who's gonna ask who?
Asking.
You're asking him. No,
Oh,
no.
yeah,
You were looking that
we
way.
have
I thought you were
to-
asking
yes.
somebody else. Gord.
Well,
I
it
didn't hear the
was-
question.
Is it the conditions as they are and that, do they agree with them?
Through you, Chair. So we did discuss all of these beforehand. So the agent has taken a look at everything and they have said that they are on board. I see some nodding. So I think.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, anybody else? Did I read this? I did read it. We need them back. Okay.
2 minutes.
You could have 2 minutes. There you go. This resolution moved by Councillor McIntyre, seconded by Councillor Zavitz. Be it resolved that bylaw 2026-087 to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 2014-14 bracket 2666940 Ontario Inc. and 2665556 Ontario Inc. Resort Village of Minette, roll number 4-14-058 be read a first and second time. Any questions? All in favor? That carries. Thank you. And I can read this one. Moved by Councillor Bosenworth, seconded by Councillor Kent. Be it resolved, the Township Council amend bylaw 2026-087 bracket 2666940 Ontario Inc. and 2665556 Ontario Inc. And this amendment is minor in nature. It does not require further public circulation and is hereby approved prior to third reading. The amendment shall consist of, number one, to permit a driveway to be located within 66 feet of the high water mark as shown in the locations and extents on Schedule 3 to bylaw 2026-087, and that Schedule 3 be amended to label these features. Questions? All in favor? That carries. One, two. Moved by Councillor McIntyre, seconded by Councillor Zavitz. Be it resolved that bylaw 2026-087 to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 2014-14 bracket 2666940 Ontario Inc. and 2665556 actually Ontario Inc. Resort Village of Minette, roll number 4-14-058 be read a first and second time. All in favor? That carries. Next one up, moved by Councillor McIntyre, seconded by Councillor Zavitz. Be it resolved that OPA By-law 2026-088 bracket 2666940 Ontario Inc. and 2665556 Ontario Inc. bracket Resort Village of Minette, roll number 4-14-058 be read a first and second time. All in favor? It carries. And finally, moved by Councillor Bosenworth, seconded by Councillor Kent. Be it resolved that OPA By-law 2026-088 bracket 2666940 Ontario Inc. and 2665556 Ontario Inc. Resort Village of Minette, roll number 4-14-058 be read a third time and finally passed. All in favor? It carries. Thank you. Did you ask Rob's question? Oh, yeah, sorry. Director Becerraris, you are going to answer Rob's question from a few minutes ago.
Thank you. You had a question about the OPA from the Bala Legion.
Yes.
Property. So we had combined them on that resolution because there was no minor amendment. So the first bylaw was for the zoning, the second bylaw was for the OPA, but it was all in one resolution.
All right, thank you.
All right. We got next. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Kent, seconded by Councillor Edwards. Be it resolved that bylaw 2026-089, a bylaw to establish and appoint a Muskoka Compliance Audit Committee, be given 3 readings and finally passed. All in favor? That carried. Next one, moved by Councillor Mazan, seconded by Councillor Zabitz. Be it resolved that bylaw 2026-090, being a bylaw to appoint a drainage superintendent for the Corporation of the Township of Muskoka Lakes, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. All in favor? That carries. Thank you. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Roberts, seconded by Councillor McIntyre. Be it resolved that bylaw 2026-091, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2022-043, a bylaw to regulate and control parking in the township, in the Corporation of the Township of Muskoka Lakes, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. All in favor? That carries. Okay. Do you want me to read the resolution first, or you would? Okay, read the resolution first. Moved by Councillor Edwards, seconded by Councillor Bosenworth. Be it resolved that bylaw 2026-092, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2025-136, a bylaw to establish and require payment of various fees and charges for information, services, activities, and use of township property, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. And Director Beth Serreris, you have something to add to that.
Thank you. I just wanted to note a typo in the bylaw. It says Schedule A for Schedule E and Schedule E for Schedule A. Staff will fix it so that it's A for A and E for E in the final bylaw if there are no issues with that.
Any issues? Anybody have a comment or question on that one? Then I'll call the vote. All in favor? That carries. Thank you. All right. Oh, Ms. Crowder, welcome back.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. The next item is a site plan control bylaw for the Aspen Valley Wildlife Sanctuary. And unfortunately, it has been prepared. There's an error in it, contrary to the resolution that was passed by Planning Committee this month. So we would like to pull the item and have it go to the subsequent council meeting for reading. The agent and applicant are aware of the situation and were okay with that before they left. So thank you.
Thank you very much. So we need a resolution to pull it? Yeah. Okay. Moved by Councillor Nishikawa. Thank you for that, Ms. Crowder. Seconded by Councillor Mazan. Be it resolved that bylaw 2026-084 to designate site plan control, lot 59 and lot 60, concessions A and B, Cardwell, Aspen Valley Sanctuary, roll numbers 1-1-013 and 1-1-012 be postponed to the September council meeting. All in favor? Thank you. That carries. Oh my goodness. Moved by Councillor Kent, seconded by Councillor Roberts. Be it resolved that special council in closed session convene at 11:40 a.m. For the following. A, exemption is litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals. Section 292 sub 2 sub E of the Municipal Act 2001. And the exemption there is advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose under section 239 sub 2 sub F of the Municipal Act 2001. And that's detailed in confidential report CCS-2026-31. Second exemption is personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. That's under section 239 sub 2 sub B of the Municipal Act 2001. And it's detailed in confidential report CCS-2026-030. And the third one is, an exemption is a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relations information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which if disclosed could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person, group of persons, or organization, and that falls under section 239 sub 2 sub I of the Municipal Act 2001, and it's going to be a confidential verbal report. So we're going to move into, oh, I guess I need to call that, don't I? All right, you've heard it, all in favor. We're going into close to take a few minutes to get people